Alright, so welcome to Going Beyond Snapchat Lens Studio. Uh, so for those of you that don't know, this is kind of like our first non-Unity specific meetup that we're going to be doing. Um, we are going to change the name of the community to AnyWorld AR and VR community from Unity Education NYC. The reason being that Unity is going to be using Unity Education in an official fashion. All of their Unity courseware and stuff is branded Unity Education. They reached out to me. We came to a settlement and basically to change my name and kind of like work with the already existing Unity NYC community. And from my perspective, I think it's a great way for us to kind of delve deeper into other topics that I've always wanted to teach, but it was always kind of weird to teach at like a Unity meetup. So I think it kind of happened in a perfect way. So the first one that I want to cover is Snapchat Lens Studio, which I've been using a decent amount of. I'm also now an official lens creator on the official kind of like Snapchat Lens Creator portal. It's a completely new thing that they launched. They have kind of artists that they've reached out to and like a select group of people that are considered official lens creators, but it's growing, and people can sign up for it through their site. You just honestly have to make some cool lenses, and it's really not that hard once you kind of get into some of the stuff I'll be showing you. So getting Lens Studio is as easy as just Googling Lens Studio, and you're gonna get it popping up right there. And they're gonna have a nice little kind of intro about it. It's a full 3D environment. You can code in it with JavaScript. You can upload everything from JPEGs and GIFs and all sorts of things into it to kind of create lenses, 3D models, animations, sounds, all sorts of stuff. And even you can even code complex interactions. Some people are even making games inside Lens Studio now that run as activations and stuff. So yeah, all you do is you just click download, accept the terms, and for Mac or for PC, whichever your platform of choice, they're constantly updating it and adding new features. So I'm just gonna go ahead and launch Lens Studio, and I'll show you what this looks like. So there we go. So what you're greeted with is probably not recent projects, but you're gonna see templates here. So they're constantly releasing new templates, and the templates are really great example projects that are basically have everything already working, and you can just very easily learn from example, just actually going in and tweaking some of the assets, changing them, or you could just make one from scratch. But I'm just gonna go ahead and let's see. So I'll kind of just run through the two main types of lenses. You have face lenses and you have world lenses. So face lenses are what you've already probably seen. The puppy dog ears with the tongue and all that kind of like popular kind of Snapchat lenses. But world lenses are a little bit less known about. World lenses are literally ARKit and AR core powered room experiences. So when it first launched, it wasn't ARKit, AR Core powered. Now it is. So if you have Snapchat on Android, it will be AR Core. If you have it on iOS, it will be ARKit. So it's fully spatial. Like using your phone, you can go and place like a character on the table or something in the room, same as you would with ARKit and AR Core. So the first one that I want to kind of open up is one of the simplest ones, I guess. And let's just do like face paint. So if I open face paint, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn off my camera on the video recording just for a minute, because you can't use two feeds at the same time. And over here in the program, this is kind of like the main layout. Let me see if I can actually put it to a default. I think this is the default layout. Let's see. Let's just click default layout. Okay, that's the default layout. So over here on the right is kind of like your preview window. I'm gonna click this webcam mode up here, and what that's gonna do is actually gonna pop up my face in there, and I'm previewing live right now this lens that we're doing here, right? So where is like this face paint template actually located? So over here on the left, if you're familiar with Unity or with Unreal or with some of these other programs, this is kind of like your scene view. This is where all your current objects that are in the scene are located. And then right below it is your project view. So that's kind of like where, and it's called resources in here. So resources is where you're going to be dragging and dropping your images, your PNGs, GIFs, whatever you want. Um, so you can see that here are some of these assets. So let's say I'm gonna look right here. You see how inside the face paint template you have paint and this one's checked on. So that's like kind of like one they have right here. If I start checking this one off and another one on, you'll see some of the other kind of example ones that they have in here. And they basically just have some PNGs that you can literally just use as face paint. Right? So let's say, I want to create my own, right? So I don't know, what would be a good kind of, let's do like a Doge face or something like that. I don't know how good it will look, but let's Doge face PNG, something like that. Or let's see if how it'll look. So anything you really pull in will work. It just might look a little weird. Um, But the idea is you can literally go into Photoshop and make it any way you want. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drag it in here. There's my Doge face, and we can use the templates, but I'm just gonna show you how to actually just make one from scratch. So up here in Add New, you're gonna click, and then here you're gonna go to Face Effects, and we're gonna do it's a face mask. So this is kind of like the default one they give you. So over here on the right, you have the inspector. So the inspector is basically the current thing you have clicked and its properties. Now you'll notice the moment I kind of go from this, clicking on camera to face mask, I go into the 2D view. So Lens Studio has like a 3D and a 2D kind of view. And now since we're working with a 2D asset, it's kind of going to put us in this 2D view, right? So watch what happens here. Now, on the inspector here, I have a material, texture, opacity texture. So I'm just going to drag Doge face here into the texture view, right? And you can see that it's going to try to project it onto my face, obviously not accurately. So what you can actually do is you can start tweaking these control points. And let's say I'm going to tweak the eyes, and I'm going to put the eyes kind of like more around where the Doge's eyes are. And let me see, how do I turn off symmetry? Just like, kind of like roughly tweak it. And the blend mode, you can change it to something like multiply, or I don't know, kind of like similar to Photoshop, where you're basically kind of have all these different types of multipliers. So let's try another one, right? So let's do I don't know, like just do some sort of mask. See what masks we got. Yeah, let's say if we do like a simpler one like this, a PNG. Is that a PNG? Doesn't look like it. Let's do this one. So to do face mask, oh, I hate it when it does that. sometimes it's still, kind of like a pretty early program. I think it's sometimes it doesn't like images that aren't um, a certain like color, what's it called, color space or whatever. Like if it's not RGB or something like that, it won't be happy with it. If I do image mode, let's see, I think it has to be 24-bit or 32-bit should work. Nope, wait, let's do that again. Oh, let's try that. Also seems to be very big. It should be fine. There we go. Saved. Resolution, yeah, it is. It's too big. Has to be 2048 max. So let's just make it 2048. Usually, again, if you just read kind of like the console log down there, it tells you what it needs. Almost. Should have just made it smaller, but it'll work. Alright, so is it this one? There it is. So let's put that in, and let's do, let me just restart this because I was tweaking the eyes. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do face mask, and I'm going to put mask fixed in here, and you kind of want to just basically start laying this out. Now, it's a little tricky to kind of do it from here. So what I would recommend you do, and this is like a little bit of a, could be seen as a hassle, but I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I kind of just screenshot the face template and just kind of, give myself a little bit of, actually let me just make this whole thing bigger. Kind of, because you got to move all the points. You kind of want to have it, because this is only like an eyepiece, you kind of want to have something for the whole face. That doesn't need to be that way. Okay, so we'll make it kind of like around where it should be. Yeah, like, or at least with minimal adjustment. So let's say like here, and then I'll just turn off all the rest of this stuff, and I'm left with that. So that at least kind of gives me a better kind of starting point. So it actually analyzes your face, and it tries to figure out, like, where your eyes are, where some of these other things are. So you can see, like, now it's kind of become easier to work with. So I could select all these eyes like that, and kind of move as needed. maybe this one a little bit more over the nose, something like that. And you basically get the gist of it. And again, you can also do different types of multiply textures and etc. So that's kind of what you can do with these 2D faces. You can obviously go and, paint like some lipstick and stuff if you want, or, kind of have fun with it. So you can actually do, yeah, you could do multiple layers. So I'm going to be doing this one as a separate layer, for example. So let's see, like lips, and then I'll add another face mask, and this time it'll be just lips. And now for lips, you want to use something like multiply, because what it does is it actually takes the color. Let's do all of this. It actually takes the. Yeah, you could just literally select all of it if you want like that. Yeah. So you kind of maybe. I think that's almost. It's like messy lipstick I got going on. I didn't do my makeup right this morning. So you can see like how I just kind of went in and tweaked it. Now they're separate layers, you see. So they could go without each other, and you can add as many layers as you want, basically. And then yeah. So that's kind of like the 2D face mask. Now you can do other stuff with 2D as well. Like let's say like glasses. Um, kind of like these, but yeah, they have transparency. Great. So let's say I pull these glasses in. Now the glasses are not to be used as face paint, because the glasses, you don't want them to like stick to your face. You actually want them to kind of like float above your face. So for this, you're going to want to use in here add new, and you're going to want to use a face sprite. So a face sprite literally just kind of floats on top of your face. And if I put this texture in, and then you take it in here and you size it. I'm probably going to get rid of this face mask so it doesn't look right together. So you see, like now I kind of just went ahead and just very simply just pulled in an image and kind of made kind of these weird shades on me. This too maybe like you do multiply, and now that I have multiply, I can actually see my eyes through it. Can you see that? So a lot of kind of cool stuff you could do with it. Obviously, you could do like a hat or something, but hat um, is a little weird because when you're turning your head, even these glasses, you can see as I'm turning my head away, it's still trying to keep it kind of like in front of my eyes. For glasses, it's okay because you're kind of looking at it, but a hat would literally kind of look like it's floating over here, and I'll show you just as an example. Hello. So let's say we do like hat PNG. Maybe like a more front-facing one. Now let's say like this one. And just so you can see an example of why hat would look a little weird if you were to do it. So I'll pull the hat in, and I'll add another sprite. And there's the hat, and the hat will be like somewhere up here, right? Something like that. So you see, like as I'm turning, it still works, but it's not really a real hat because it just kind of stays stays kind of like under me, but it's still, the effect is not like too bad. And the cool thing that I like about it is like even a kid could do this like as their first like thing and never have touched anything. And they could make like a creative lens. Um, so the better way to do a hat is to actually have a 3D model of a hat. So say we wanted to do that, right? So let's just kind of go and just see if we could pull up a hat somewhere off the internet. I like to use Blend Swap because I'm a Blender user, and Blend Swap just has all these free models. So I'll just do hat, like a nice top hat or something. Fedora. So let's say I take this, right? Must give credit to V Chargin. W Chargin. Credit has been given. Alright. So say I pull this Fedora out. Now I'm just getting slightly into a 3D modeling program, but say you never touched Blender and you wanted to pull something off Blend Swap, and it's a model like this, for example, and you're like, whoa, what is this? I don't even know what's going on. This is just, every Blender user sets up their environment differently, and when they save the file, the layout also kind of comes with it. So the safest thing always to do in Blender is in this bottom left corner, there's like the view type. You just want to use the 3D view, and there's kind of like my hat. And I don't have to touch anything or do anything. All I have to do is file, export, FBX file. So I'm just exporting it for, you know, for Lens Studio or for anything else. You could really use FBX. And there's fedora.fbx. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up here in Lens Studio, and I'm just going to drag it in, and it'll do its thing and convert it. And there's the hat. Now it looks funky, right? The reason it looks like this is because it doesn't have a texture. So every time you pull in a model into Lens Studio and you don't have like a texture assigned to it or something like that, it'll show purple like this, like the missing texture thing. All you have to do is go into the folder here where you just dragged your asset in. It's called Fedora. And in there should be a materials folder. And here in the materials properties, like when you click and on the right you see the material properties, usually there's a base texture is checked on even though there's no texture. That's why it shows up purple. So all you have to do is check that off like that, and you're going to get rid of that weird purple. Okay? So now this segues into kind of like the 3D part of stuff. So if I click this material, you'll notice this is a very standard kind of physically based render materials. You got texture map, normal map, emissive, reflection, um, all that kind of like metallic, and all the kind of common material properties you would expect. I'm not going to do anything too crazy with it. I'm just going to make the base color of it like, I don't know, like kind of like a brownish, like that's too brown. Kind of like a fedora-ish, brownish, and then the band, I'm going to make it kind of like dark gray, something like that. Not really going for realism. You can add a cool little effect, like you can do rim highlight is one of my favorites. If you just click rim highlight, and then you can adjust the rim, so it'll kind of have a little bit of a sheen to it, just the tiniest bit. So I have my hat. I'm happy with it. I click it, and again, you have very common 3D tools. You have the move tool, the scale tool, the rotation tool, all that stuff. So I'm just going to use the scale tool, and I'm going to grab by the middle gizmo. Similar to all the other programs, you grab by the individual gizmos, you're scaling. You grab by the middle gizmo, you're scaling it in every direction. Okay, so I'm going to scroll in with my scroll wheel, and here I am. If you don't have a scroll wheel, you should be able to just use the touchpad on your laptop. Now, how do I make this hat attach to my head? Well, the first thing I want to do is take the hat, and I'm going to use the move tool up here Just click it, or you press W. I'm gonna move it up to where my head's supposed to be, but as you can see, it's still not following my head. I'm gonna disable this hat just so we can see what we're doing. And what actually needs to happen for this hat to be attached to your face is you need to drag it into like a face, like a head binding type of object. Let me just find this. Yeah, so you go to add new in general, and in there there's a head binding, and you can drag and drop all of these objects. You can parent them to each other. Very common, like throughout these integrated development environments. So the Fedora, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it into the head binding, and the head binding is for. Oh, it looks like we already had a head binding. I'm sorry. Where is it? That's good. Oh, in any case, this should still work if I just make the head ID 0. So there's a face index in each head binding, and the reason for that is because Lens Studio, you could do two faces on an effect, so you could have like two people in front of the camera, and each could have like their own effect on it. So sometimes you need to set the face index to 0 or to 1 depending on who is going to be for. And I'll take the Fedora, drag it into the head binding, and there it is. See that? Now it's not proper yet, and the reason is because I gotta kind of move it around a little bit. So I'm gonna just tweak it. So as you can see, it's very easily. I just dragged a regular 3D model into it and kind of made a very simple effect. Now, the way this works is, and I'll try to explain this concept. So I don't know if you could tell, but you see when I'm scrolling around, you see this head. It has what's called a face occluder. So the occluder, it has a type of material that's called the occluder. So an occluder, what it basically does is it masks out anything in 3D, and it kind of like shows the camera behind it. So as you can see, like when kind of like it looks like it's on my head, and the back of my head is kind of, it's trying to mask it out, and the actual mask is this invisible face occluder. And you see, if I scale this face occluder, you see more and more of it is being occluded. Now they give you like a preset kind of face to use, but anything could be an occluder, any shape that you choose. But the idea is that you want to have this kind of head shape snugly kind of fit around your model, and it'll give it that kind of 3D effect that like it's actually going around the back of my head. But you can see that the face occluder isn't perfect, and right around here on the edge of my face, you can see that it's not masking properly. And that's just a limitation of the platform the way it is right now. I'm personally kind of lobbying them to have a dynamic like face size detection thing, but that's just not in yet. So you're kind of stuck with using this face occluder and just making sure that the size of it is correct to whatever type of whatever type of hat or whatever other type of effect you're using. So you see, if I stretch the face occluder sideways, you can see that it's occluding too much. And if I stretch it down, it's occluding, see, too little. So that's what it should be like with no occluder, almost no occluder. See, but the occluder is what gives it that effect. Now the occluder, you can do a lot of interesting things with it. Um, One of the cool examples that they have, and I'm just going to save this and we'll come back to this in a second. So I'm just going to save as, and I'm just going to call it like lipstick red hat. I don't know, something like that. And to go back to the main menu, I'm just gonna click it here in files, in file, and do close to home. So close to home, and I'm back here. Let me see if they still have this. Yeah, so they have window in world lenses. So this example has a great usage of the occluder, and it's basically, it looks like a hole in the ground. Now the hole in the ground is obviously not like a real hole in the ground. It's just a cylinder, but we're masking the outside of the cylinder with the occluder, so you don't actually see it from the sides. It just looks like, like there's nothing. So on the ground, like in your scene, if we were to do it like that, that's what it would look like. So it's basically, it looks like a hole in the ground. And then when you come over it with your phone, you're looking into the hole. But then when you go away from it, it doesn't look like anything because it's literally being occluded. So I want to show you right here. So there's a hole occluder. You see that? Is this cylinder object right here. And if I remove that, that's what it would actually look like. Does that make sense? How like the occluder is like the illusion of it actually not being in space only from certain angles. Like a hole is a perfect example of that. The hole, the only way you can make it is by having this kind of cylinder shape, but it this doesn't look very good. You see that? It's like you could tell that it's a cylinder. But if you place the occluder right around the bottom part of it, it just masks it. Just like you would mask something in Photoshop or in Adobe Premiere or After Effects or something like that. And you're kind of left with this cool hole in the ground effect. So I'm gonna go back to my project that I was just working on right now, and I want to show you like just how simple it is to push this to your own app on Snapchat to test, and then how easy it is to submit it onto the platform and share it to everyone else. So you can obviously always test using the webcam mode on your face, but also quick just to note, you can also test when you click here image video mode. You can actually go in here and they have a lot of kind of sample videos of people that you can test with. So you can kind of get an idea of different people's head shapes, how the lens looks on them, and etc. So, and then for the more advanced stuff, which we'll get into in some of the next workshops, you can also do triggers like mouth open, eyebrow raise and stuff like mouth open. You've probably seen the famous like dog ears one. You open your mouth and a big like dog tongue just kind of unrolls out of your mouth. So that's done with a really simple script that just triggers based on the mouth open. And you'd be using this video to test it because you probably don't want to stand in front of the camera and just do all day, or maybe you do. It's it's up to you. But so let's say I'm happy with this, right? First thing that I would do is pair it with my Snapchat app. So, you just download Snapchat, iOS and Android on your phone, and you open up the camera, and over here in the top right, there it says push lens to device. So if you just click that, oh, actually, I think I'm already paired. Sorry, I should have unpaired first. Apparently, it didn't used to be like that, but it just automatically knew that my phone was there, and I think this is my lens. Yep. So there it is. So this took like a few seconds really to just prepare it. Snapchat. So I want to see if I can unpair it, so I can show you how to pair it. I guess that's asking for too much. In any case, basically, if we were pairing it, it's the same thing I was kind of explaining with the Snapchat QR code thing. It just pops up a QR code there, and you hold your camera over it, and you just hold the screen like that, and it'll try to scan the QR code, and it'll figure out your app with your Lens Studio, and it'll pair them. So that's a quick way to just test and throw something on your phone. And if you take a video with this, like on the Snapchat app, you'll see that it will have this kind of preview. Oh my god, this is funny. I'm actually putting a lens on my face that has a lens. That's hilarious. I don't know if you guys can see that. It detected my. I won't zoom in. I'm actually gonna save that and show it later in the video. But yeah, in any case, so this is just like preview mode. You push it to your phone and you can try it on your phone. But to actually submit it, I would recommend you to go here into project info, call it something like red lipstick. You spell lipstick. Stick, right? Hat. Red lipstick hat, something like that. And you could choose an icon or whatever. I'm not really gonna choose one right now. Lens works on only the front camera. You can give a hint like blow a kiss or whatever, do not smile or whatever. Like if you're doing some more trigger interactions. And I'm just gonna apply and then click submit lens here. And if you're not signed into the app currently, it'll ask you to just sign in with your Snapchat account. You sign in, and then this is just a submission dialog. You can give them like a little video preview of your lens if you want to. You can also tag your lens, which makes it searchable in like the lens. Like there's an entire like lens search engine in Snapchat. People can search all sorts of stuff, and all you do is submit, and it goes into review, and then from there takes like it varies, but they're usually pretty fast with approving the lenses. And then once your lens is approved, you'll see that it'll pop up something like you'll have uh, QR code there, I mean snap code, and you'll see how many views and how many scans and shares it's had, and you can click share and either copy a link like that, and I'll show you what that link looks like. So it looks like that for anyone else that opens it either on their phone or wherever. Or you can actually just download this image. You can download the snapcode image and print it or send it in a newsletter or whatever you kind of want to do with it. And that's kind of pretty much it. And once you have that, all you do is you just unlock it in your Snapchat app and you could send it to your friends. You could take videos with it. If you take a video with your lens, it will remember which lens the video was taken with. And if your friends look at that video, say you posted it to your story, they can also unlock the lens from your video and then use it themselves as well, which gives it this kind of viral spreading potential. So it's a whole lot of fun. I personally just like how easy it is to prototype something out in AR fairly easily. Um, I'm just gonna save this, show you a couple of other cool templates. Available forever on their platform. 24 hours unless and then they have to go and just unlock it again if they want to. Yeah. I think the reason they do that is because if you've ever used Snapchat, the carousel is you kind of swipe through it. They don't want people to just have like hundreds of junk like stuff in there and then have to remove it and stuff. It's just their kind of thinking behind it. And people that I'm just thinking out loud here, but say you're doing some sort of activation, um, you're really going to want people to use that and share it kind of like right away. You might not want to have some advertisement or whatever just living on their phone, and neither might they, for example, all the time. But it's enough to make, you can make a cool video and then you can download it to your camera roll. You can put it up on Instagram, on Facebook. You can do whatever you want with it. So whatever you capture in Snapchat isn't necessarily restricted to it. You can actually download the video to your gallery and do whatever you want with it. That's how I got these videos from my lenses. No, only if you like link it there and you just yeah. So this one was pretty views for me. I kind of put it out during Ready Player One. I wasn't trying to say that it's Ready Player One, but it's called Digital Surfer. But yeah, I mean like there's a lot of potential for stuff that when it comes out, like say some new Netflix series comes out or something like that, you make a lens for it, you show it to the right people, they might want to do a campaign around it. And again, like I know a bunch of you come from like an already kind of Unity, AR, VR kind of background. So, this is just another tool in your arsenal. It's another thing you can pitch with. It's another cool thing you can offer your clients. As you can see, it's not a hard platform to learn. They've made it really easy to pick up with a lot of these examples. And there's some pretty complex stuff here. Um, it goes from as simple as like, let me actually show you this one. I actually found really interesting. I just discovered this today. We just recently added this. This is an interactive lens. They're having these a lot more. So what you do is you click, you tap again, and it just does this thing. It's like, I don't really get the point. It's just an example. But I don't know. People really like these like kind of quick, tidbit, like memeable little things. Like you can make something like this, and someone taps it, and then like some meme comes up, or some brand or something like that, and then they're like, what? Like, what did I just use? Especially like, none of this stuff is like some 10-minute videos. Everything's this kind of quick, 10, 15-second experiences. So some of the cool ones. Um, so they have their own. I don't know how widespread the Instagram AR is at this point, but they have their own. It's called Facebook AR. I'm telling you, it's like literally the spitting image of this program. You'll open it and it's like the same exact thing. And they're kind of just getting inspired by each other, competing with each other, and the tools are just getting better and better on both ends. It's kind of like Unity, Unreal, but definitely not that much of a difference in quality. It's pretty much like the same thing. I think Snapchat's is better because they have a lot more examples. The community's bigger, and their support team is really great for like pretty much any problems you might be having. It's like they're doing like a kind of like a full push with AR, whereas for Facebook it's kind of like a side thing. It's like, oh, we got VR, we got AR, we got social network. Trying to combat hate speech. They got a lot of stuff on their plate. Whereas Snapchat is really like super focused on this stuff. Um, yeah, I think it goes on Messenger. Yeah. So this one, it's wouldn't actually be on my face. It would be on the world. But you can see like, so the world lenses are literally, you can make 3D animations, character animations, all sorts of stuff. And this is like simulating me kind of touching it on a mobile display and moving it around in the world. So that's kind of what you do in Snapchat. I can just kind of go around and show you real quick. AR Kit, AR Core. It's integrated into it nowadays. So it's literally like just as good as a regular AR Kit, AR Core app. So I just pushed this, box, and I'll just go around and show you. So, so it's a full AR Kit, AR Core style AR. Exactly. They're fully meshed in together, and you could bet that whatever features they're gonna add to all the AR platforms, they're gonna be right on top of it. Um, but yeah, like I just was hoping to make just kind of like a little brief intro, just show you. Really, it's just how easy it is. I mean, I've done this with my Unity classes. I'll go straight into just showing the physics, the creating an environment, pulling stuff from the asset store, the fun stuff, and that stuff is harder, honestly. This is really um, simplified, but it's also a very powerful tool. You can actually get in, and I'll show you. There's an entire scripting language, and it's just based on JavaScript. So it's not like you're not learning a new programming language. It's JavaScript, but with the specifics to how they do it, how you access stuff. But you'll see that it's very similar to what you may be used to in Unity. It's all game objects, but instead of game objects, they're called like my mind's stuff right now. I forget. Scene objects. It's like the same concept. Everything's components. You can enable, disable components, enable, disable game objects. On mouth open, enable dog tongue, and unrolls or something like that. So yep. So I'll show you one of the example projects here. That's like a simple one. Like you have trigger. So trigger is the perfect example project for that, and it gives you a nice little script that already works. And I think you open your mouth, yeah, and it does that. See? So the scripts, each example project comes with its own scripts, kind of in there. And you'll see that the script is actually located here on the head, and it's very similar to kind of what Unity does, and it's like you can expose public variables in your script, and then in the editor here you can change it, tweak it. See, instead of mouth opened, I can do kiss or something like that, so or whatever. Or you could do on tap. So when you tap the screen instead of the mouth, so the mouth doesn't work anymore, but now when I tap, it does it. So all of the triggers are basically built in, and they're just a matter of just switching which trigger you want to use for whatever animation you're doing, or it could be anything. You could change the the filter colors of the entire camera. You can put 3D objects that pop into the scene, animations that come in, something runs through on your head. I'm just making stuff up, but you could, sky's the limit with what you can do, both on your head and on the world view. So it's not just limited to the face. All this triggers also work on the other camera and on someone else's face on the other camera. So you can actually be looking at someone with your camera and be putting the lens on them, not just on yourself, and record a funny video. Like I've done it with people on TV. You can be watching TV and put a lens on someone talking on TV, and it like makes their face look funny or something like that. Yeah, it's you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. So like I'll show you the one of the fun ones for me is like distort. So see, and the way that it works, it's liquefy. So you can actually take any part and shrink it, make it smaller. There's also face stretch, so you can actually completely like change the shape. I am the big brain. Give me all your resources, humans. So it's a whole lot of fun. And like I said, you could do this on like someone else, you know? And like I mean like if you're streaming your phone, you could, Nothing's really stopping you from doing that. Um, so yeah, they have a lot of stuff and they're constantly adding more. There's some new features that I would love to talk about, but I can't. But they're after tomorrow I'll be able to talk about it. But what? Because they're releasing a new version tomorrow with some new features and stuff, and they're also really cool features. So, hmm? Yep, Lens Studio. They're different. So ARcade ARCore is really for app development. You're building your own custom app. This is leverages ARKit and ARCore, but it's in the Snapchat platform. So you can create Snapchat advertisements, you create funny filters, share them with your friends, download the videos that you can then do whatever you want with afterwards. Like I said, it doesn't have to stay in Snapchat. You can sky's the limit on what you can do with it. So as good as ARKit and ARCore can get, you can they have ones. Yeah, they added an example here for Portal. I did a portal before it was ARKit and AR Core, and even then it worked pretty well. But and I'm not probably gonna be able to show it in here, but it's basically like it's like this. See, so it's like, and then you can go in and just kind of like walk in it, so fully in it. Like you can literally keep walking through it as long as your camera tracking is stable and you're. Well, yeah, or you can, yeah, you could make something up, like, or download something, or, but yeah, of course, like, to make a whole 3D world, you have to be doing some 3D there. You can assemble it in Lens Studio, or you can just assemble it completely in a 3D program and pull it all done. But yeah, you can actually assemble in Lens Studio, drag and drop stuff, and edit it. And I don't know how much of this is editable, but see, like all these buildings are one piece, for example. But it seems this button, I think it's tappable. I'm assuming. Yeah. Get to the middle of the room, you can press it and something happens. So all sorts of stuff, and like you can like just an idea, like it could be like a promotional thing. You could pull out like a coupon code or something when someone does some sort of activation in an event or a concert or something like that. There's all sorts of interesting ways to pitch this. It's very new technology, but I know they're definitely on the forefront of this. And you can definitely expect a lot more tools and platforms for this kind of stuff, like really the platformization of AR, not just AR Kit, AR Core. Those were like really forerunners into you have Euphoria before that, but like when AR Kit, AR Core came out, they really kind of knocked it out of the ballpark, made a really well made AR Kit. Was I think was first, and AR Core kind of caught up right after. So yeah, I mean, they're a huge platform. Got like hundreds of millions of users, I think. Um, nope. Exactly. Yep. It's one of the great advantages to it. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, like to replace, like you could. I mean, like say like that piece of art there, and you walk up to it and replace that stop with put something over it. Yeah, yeah, you could. Um, so that's one of the new features that I can't really talk about, but they will have some stuff that will be able to do exactly what you're talking about in Snapchat. So fully meshed into this platform, just the way it is in this program. Um, they're constantly releasing new features. That sounds like a fairly simple AR um, system. It's the idea is good. That's why he won it. It's not so much I think that the technicality of it, even though it must have been impressive. But yeah, it's basically just placing something on in augmented reality on a wall. Um, Usually, floor and ground is what's most kind of reliable now. But I know that a lot of people have been working on also enabling the wall. I think some of the beta AR kit stuff does wall now as well. Yeah, so it's very kind of new. But you can definitely expect wall detection to come full fledged into all of these platforms fairly soon. So they're not that strict with um, you know regular kind of art stuff, they could reject the lens for say if you're using some commercial music, or if you're using some logos maybe you don't have the rights to. It's not that strict. If they do reject it, you can always kind of reach out to them fairly easily, and they'll tell you why. I've had one lens get sent back to me because it had cultural appropriation. I had no idea that we were doing like a lens where we made you look like, like you were in Japan or something like that, and we had chopsticks, like we kind of had like a bun, like one of those kind of like ornate buns, and we had like those two kind of hair chopsticks in it, and I didn't know what was cultural appropriation about. I said, no, just remove the chopsticks. So he was like, okay, so we removed the chopsticks and we passed the lens through to the client. So there's certain things like that. They have a community guidelines, and they have a moderation team that looks at this stuff. But if something's not clear, they get back to you pretty quickly and answer it. Yeah, as long as you're just not blatantly using like some commercial music or some very like Coca-Cola on your face or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, even it's really hard for them to know, like if it's not obvious. I mean, I'm not saying like do it, but I'm saying like it's almost impossible to police some of that because there's no algorithm to detect if some celebrity's face was used or whatever. Um, Again, like I'm saying, you don't necessarily have to do that, but it's not like there's a way to find out really in a lot of these cases, as long as you don't make it very blatant, and as long as it's not in bad spirit, if it's all for fun. There's a Reddit subreddit for lenses, which is a great place to get your lenses kind of uh, you know commented on, shared, and looked at, and I know people are always posting funny stuff there, and even requests and stuff. So it might be an interesting place to get noticed. Um, but yeah, it's kind of very new. And again, if you get good at it, you're making a bunch of them, they might reach out to you and ask you to join the lens official lens creator program like I am. So it's I know they're looking for people. So probably when the next round is gonna be, and if your lenses are up there and you apply for the program, and they take a look at it, they see your lens are creative and they're cool, they'll invite you into the program. So I'm on their website, on the Snapchat website as a creator, and my portfolio of lenses is there, and yeah, they could reach out directly through there. Yep, yep, that's one of the advantages. The other one is we're kind of on the cutting edge with the features, and have a direct link to their team to ask any questions, or I'm always one kind of like making suggestions and making feature requests and whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's small now, in terms of the amount of creators. It's I mean relatively small, but yeah, I mean what more can I say? It's a pretty cool platform. Yeah, yeah. I'll just search up my name, Philippe Baba. Um, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this simple tutorial. I will be having another one of these, and we're gonna get into some of like more of the advanced topics, either like some more customized like 3D lens, world lens, and possibly triggers, either or maybe both. Um, hmm? For this, yeah. And yeah, be on the lookout for that. Again, like I announced it early on, but we're changing the meetup name from Unity Education NYC. It's going to be AnyWorld AR and VR Community. And yeah, so be on the lookout for more interesting meetups from us. We're definitely going to do more series of these kinds of Lens Studio meetups as well. And um, I'm also trying to get Snapchat to take notice. I'm already going to be speaking at Lens Fest about we're kind of trying to put together some of these workshops and tutorials for Lens Studio. So who knows? Maybe they give us some official support at some point down the line here in New York. I know they're not really looking at New York that much. They're more based on the West Coast, but you never know. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, as far as I know, to do it on Snapchat, you have to use Lens Studio. Is the only way to do it. If you're thinking like making your own like raw, AR Kit, AR Core. I don't know about AR Core. I know AR Kit has a face system.
I was making something that could auto generate something based on my user input and then put it out on Snapchat.
Not as of yet. No, nothing I can think of that does that. No. But yeah, feel free to post any questions you have, like either right after this to me, or if you have any questions when you're back home and you're playing with it on the meetup comments. This video I'm gonna put it up on our YouTube channel, and it's gonna be posted also in the comments of the meetup, so you won't miss it for sure. And yeah, thanks for attending, and thanks for watching.